So in this series, we're going to be actually restoring this lovely old Ernie Ball Music Man. It's got the DiMarzio pickups, just a nice sort of Stratocaster style tremolo bridge. Truss rod is on a wheel, and it's got the 4/2 headstock with tuners. Really dirty and thingy, so we'll strip all this down and clean it. So this has been painted many times. I've started stripping the paint back here just to have a look at the actual wood underneath, and it looks pretty good. The binding is still intact, which is quite nice, so we'll be see if we can get all that to show up as well. I want to do some sort of wood stain or a candy to try and show the actual wood grain in this, I think. Then I'll probably paint the back and the sides just black, or even a satin black, similar to how they are originally. I may even do some sort of like a sunburst around here as well. I was tempted to do some graphics on it as well. I might just do that ghosted in like the Ernie Ball Eagle, do something like that. The only thing I'm concerned about is the actual DiMarzio pickups. It's only got a single wire coming out of there, so maybe this is going to need some investigation on how these actually wire in. Original wiring is here. As you can see, it's got 3 wires coming out of there, so there's going to be an earth there, I'd have thought. And I think that's going to be the feed. Is there a feed on this side as well? So if anybody knows about DiMarzio pickups, drop me a comment below. Any information will be very, very helpful on this project. So the wiring is going to be probably the last thing we do. The pot, I think, had fallen apart, so we may have to replace that. Jack plug seems okay. So basically, the only thing I'm really concerned about is these pickups. Everything else, I know I'll be able to sort, anything cosmetic. So any information would be really, really helpful. If on the DiMarzio pickups, drop me a comment. And see that wire has come away from there as well, if you can see that. From the actual coil there. Be a shame if these are knackered, because they are really good pickups. I want to keep it as original as possible, sort of try and put it back to how it was. Single volume, and then it's got the 3-way switch for the pickups. The neck is really worn. It's got quite a nice patina to it. I'm tempted to try and keep some of the patina. I might just try and clean it up. It's desperate for a fret job, so it's been really well played, this guitar. So it might need a bit of a level and a polish. Fret ends are okay, quite nice, but I'll probably give them another clean up and a polish as well. I'll have to check the nut, might have to put a new nut in there. Headstock, it looks really as if half the clear coat is actually starting to come off here. So we'll have a look at that as well. I may just redo that and redo that, we just oil it probably. Back of the neck is really nice. There's the actual trademark from Ernie Ball. Tuners look quite nice. That one's a little bit corroded, so we may have to have a look at that one. But hopefully these are all in good condition. I could probably clean them all up and give them a good WD-40 and sort them out a little bit. The routing is still in good condition. This is all going to need insulating as well, so we'll have to sort that out at some point. Yeah, there's a lot of paint on here, so I'm going to try and get as much of this paint off as I can before we put the new finish on. But yeah, this will be a nice little project, I think. Yeah, definitely want to show off the binding and try and take it back to as much original looking as possible, even though it's going to have a custom finish. I think I'm going to go similar for the colour, same colour as the extra slinky strings, you know, that sort of bright, vivid sort of blue. I may even throw a little tiny bit of metal flake into the candy. As long as I can see the wood grain through it, I'll be happy. So I think the first job is we're going to take the neck off and put that to one side, so we'll strip all that down and clean all that at a later date. I want to concentrate on the body first, try and get as much of this paint off as possible. I think I'm going to try and use a heat gun first, see if I can scrape a lot of it off. If not, I'm going to have to sand it, but I don't want to go through the veneer if there's a veneer on here. And I'm going to be trying to be really careful with the binding. Right, so I'm actually just going to attack the actual guitar with the heat gun. I've just tried it then, it does seem to work quite nicely. Hope you can hear me over the gun in a sec. So I'm just going to get some heat into the paint and then I'll just scrape it off with a scraper. Pretty straightforward stuff. As you can see, it comes off really easily. Just put that down. Melt my foam base. Yeah, it just comes off really nice and easy once it's all warmed up. Now, as soon as it cools, it gets hard again. So once I can get down through all this, I can give it a really good sand. Hopefully, the grain will be quite nice in there. If not, we can try and enhance the grain, probably with some dyes and things like that, just to try and make it look a bit more interesting for when we put the candy on. So I'm going to set you up on time lapse while I do this, and check back with you and hopefully when it's all stripped. So you can see now, ow, still a bit warm, all the actual primrose yellow is off. I think that's the original colour there. It's like a, let's peel that off. It's like a metallic fuchsia. Looks like it's been painted a couple of times. So what was the original colour? I've had a look online and I wonder if you're on camera. Looks like an original pink, but then there's a darker pink underneath. Was that the original colour and this has been painted 2 or 3 times? Maybe. I don't know what the original colour is on these very early Ernie Ball guitars. I've had a look online and I can't actually see anything on the older ones. It's all the newer ones with the flame maple tops, etc. But yeah, I'm going to try and get as much of this off as I can. Look at that, just... that's a lot of paint. So what I'm going to do is continue stripping this off. I won't bore you with all that. I'll do it all off camera and then I'm going to start sanding this back. I believe under this grey primer is another coat of white. There, you can just see it on that. There, so there's a wood, and then there's a primer, and there's white. So I've got to take that back off, and then I think I'll probably just gently sand it to get down to the wood, because I don't want to burn the veneer or go through and gouge it or whatever with the scraper. Yeah, so it's all coming off quite nicely, quite easily. It's making a hell of a mess in my workshop, but it's to be expected. So I think I'm going to put my trusty piece of wood in there, stick it in the vise here, just so I can hold it, so I can get around the edges, and get as much of this paint off as I can. So all the paint is now off the top. Binding looks intact. It's a little bit loose there, so I am actually going to just reattach that with some little Mitre Bond super glue stuff in there as well, just to make sure that's all secure before we start doing the wood stain. I was going to actually paint the back and sides black to match the original sort of look, but I'm thinking I may strip all this right back to the wood as well, see what the grain's like on that, and then I may stain that as well, but a contrasting colour to the front. Because on the front, just coming off there already, but on the front, I'm going to try and go this sort of really vivid sort of blue. And I've got some wood stain coming. It's a water-based wood stain. I think it's azure, so it's going to be like a pale blue. So it's going to be hopefully similar to this. And then I've got some candy pigment here. I'll probably drop that in a little bit of clear coat. We'll see if we can actually ghost it around the edge and do almost like a sunburst, just to enhance it a little bit. The grain is quite nice. It's not, look at the metal flake coming off. It's coming off the packet, and you can see that. The grain is quite nice. It's not the best grain look, so it hasn't got that sort of flame top. But I think once the actual wood dye's on there and the candy, I think that will really make that stand out a little bit. The green strat I did was very similar. It had a very sort of plain look, the grain, but once the actual stain and the candy was on it actually made it look really nice as you sort of see through the candy into the actual wood. So I think, like I said, I think I'm going to actually strip all this off right back to the wood and see what that's like. There's quite a bit of paint still to come off here and there. So I think, I did this with the actual machine sander in the end, with like a DA sander. I think it was with a 180 grit, and then I went up to 320, and then I finished with a 400, just to give it a nice smooth finish. So I think I'm going to do the same on the back and the sides. And I may even just stain that darker, so it's like a nice, almost like a mahogany finish. But let me just have a look at the neck, because I think the neck is quite a pale finish. So if I could match that, I might even do that. But I am going to go for a natural finish on the actual back and sides. I'm not going to put any clear on it. I'm just going to do like an oil finish. I'll be using the Crimson Guitars finishing oil and trying to get like a nice satin finish on that. I think I'll just set it apart and make it look a little bit more high-end. As you can see, the neck still needs a lot of work. I haven't even touched this yet. The frets there are really well worn. You can see those marks in there. But we'll cross that bridge when the body is done. Lots of sanding being done. My arms are killing me. I did use the DA on the back here. All this has been done by hand. I've still got quite a bit of work to do, as you can see. All this bit I've got to do yet. So basically I'm just sat here with different grits. I'm going from a 180 right up to this is a 500. Yeah, 500 grit to get a really nice, smooth, silky finish. And I think if you look there, the wood grain through there, now you can see that on camera, it's got like that almost like a wave through. Let me see if I can just wet that up with a little bit of glass cleaner. See through there, I think, that wood grain when it's all stained. I think I want to go with something like maybe a teak or something like that, just to, I may even do the antique pine. It's quite a nice finish, quite a nice colour. Just on the back, I think you'll agree that's going to look bloody lovely. Just enhance the grain. And then on the front, I've got one more sand in here to do, I've got a few little grinding marks and things. And on the front, I said before, I will be doing the blue azure blue azure dye, which has just arrived. Thanks to Mr. Bezos. 30mm water-based dye. I think it was £5. I'll just quickly move the body out of the way so I don't get any dye on it. Just grab a piece of wood. One piece here. Just give that a bit of a smooth over. I just want to have a look, see what the actual colour is going to be like. Very nice clean piece of paper. So I want to be really careful with this, so you don't get a lot. That might be okay. This is a bit yellower than the actual body it's going on, so it's going to look a little bit green. I think that will look quite nice on the actual body. Should bring out the grain as well. So what I think I'll do, carry on, we'll just forget that for now. Come back to that probably in the next episode. I think I'm going to do now is just continue with the sanding. I was just giving my hands a bit of a break from sanding, and I just thought I'd take the tuning pegs off, and underneath the tuning pegs you can see there's the original colour, how this got sanded without taking the tuning pegs off. Don't know, some really careful sanding, I think. So that must just been, it looks like it was solid burgundy. But I'm going to strip all that off, and I think I'm going to stain this the same as the guitar in the blue. And then I'll probably put the logo on here. But try and keep it as clean and as original as possible. Needs a lot of work through here, see it's all filthy. But yeah, I just thought it was quite interesting, and that's the original burgundy colour. Right, I've been at this probably for about 2 hours now. All the paint is off. There's still some sealer and some bits and pieces to be tidied up. But I think once this is oiled, I think this will look really nice. I'm just going around with a 500 now. I'm polishing the binding a little bit as well at the same time, which with a 500 I'll probably finish the binding off with something like an 800 to try and get a bit more of a sheen and nice smooth finish to it. I've still got to super glue the binding back on there. I'll just probably use some of this Everbuild Fast Mitre Bond and the activator. I basically just put a little bit in there with a cocktail stick and then hold it shut, spray the activator on it, and that should hopefully tighten that up and fill it a little bit with the super glue. I'm still in two minds what to do with the back and sides, whether I should go back to original and paint it black or oil it. I'm swaying more to the side of oiling it. I think it'll look really nice with the natural wood, especially against the neck as well. I think that'll just set it apart and make it look a little bit different from the other MM1 Music Man out there. I have done some research on this, and this is one of the very first Ernie Ball Music Man guitars. I think it's in the MM1. It's used under license of Ernie Ball, so it was all like registered trademarks and things. Eddie Van Halen apparently designed it, etc., which is quite interesting. I think the Eddie Van Halen had the Floyd Rose and bits and pieces like that and all that on there, and the proper flame maple top. Also, a lot of the flame maple ones, the cheaper ones, just had a transfer on top as well, wasn't actually a proper veneer. But this was obviously a budget one and just had the solid painted body. But I think what we're going to do with the dye and things like that, I think it'll make a hell of a difference on this and make it sort of stand out a little bit. So I'm thinking if that's really bright and glossy and the really nice oiled natural wood back, we're using the, I think it's the Crimson, yeah, the Crimson penetrating guitar oil. I think that'll just give it a really nice finish. I think you have to put it on, let me just have a look. Put my glasses on because I'm getting old. Here we go, I can see now. Yeah, it has to be finished with at least 240, and I'm finishing it with a 400. And then you put it on with apply with a brush, cloth or strong tissue paper, leave to cure for 5 to 10 minutes until tacky, and then rub excess away with a clean cloth or strong tissue paper. Sorry if my reading's a bit thingy because I can hardly see it. Leave to cure for 2 to 4 hours before applying next coat. Best results 4 to 6 coats. So I think I'm probably going to do that. I think it'll make it a really nice finish on this. It's nice and smooth and, you know, sort of like higher end than just painting it gloss black. But first of all, like I said, I'll be doing the front, getting all that all nice, and then we'll do the oiling on the back. So I don't want to do oiling and then paint because oil and paint don't mix. So that will be coming up in the next video when we're doing the wood staining, and then when that's all painted, we'll do the oiling on the back. So if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Stay tuned for more guitar content, and I'll see you in the next video.